show up. The swill pop.
Hello and welcome to Falcon Game Review's Kingdom Come Deliverance complimentary video review. And, you know, I've already recorded this once. The audio was crap and I had to stop and unlist it. It's still up if you want to go watch it, but honestly, I like this version better. So please watch both of them, I guess, if you want to. Read the written review too. I'd really appreciate that. Anyways. So, this is a game that I've wanted to play for a while. It kind of fell off my radar because they just stopped talking about it for a while. But I'm glad that I took the chance because, honestly, this is one of my favorites. And that's saying a lot because there aren't a lot of favorites on my list. One thing I do like about it, and I'll get into this later, is just that they took a different approach than a lot of other game studios take with these kind of games. And I like the approach they took. I feel like they did a good job, and Warhorse Studios deserves to be commended on that. Just, you know what, just watch the video, let me know what you think, and that's about all I got. So without further ado, please enjoy the video. So first off, I want to talk about the bathhouses, because like in other RPGs, there are goods and services you pay for. The bathhouses in particular play a major role because it is one way to save the game. It's also another way to make sure that people actually want to talk to you, because believe it or not, you need to be clean if you want people to like you. So you go to the bathhouse, they'll clean you up, they'll take care of your wounds, they'll clean your clothes for you, and they will do other things, though I won't talk about them. Anyways, so like other services, you actually can haggle the price or just pay what they offer. In this case, I chose to haggle, and it makes a little mini game where you choose the price you want to pay, and then they offer their own offer, what they want to be paid, and it's just a balancing act. I felt it's better implemented than a lot of other games, so it was kind of neat to see this. There's a little bit of weirdness with the conversations sometimes, especially with the camera. This guy was trying to talk to me when I was on a horse, and so naturally it didn't reconcile that I was a little higher. There's a few issues with that, so I mean, that is something you need to consider. It's not a great conversation camera system, that's for sure. Now, I've heard a common complaint that the combat's too slow-paced, it's too methodical. I don't think that that's really a bad thing. I feel like the combat's perfect. You know, you're fighting in heavy armor, you're using weapons that are more realistic in a lot of ways. So naturally, I feel like the combat would need to be a little less flourishy. You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with games that let you be all, you know, fanciful and stuff and run around and taking on 30 guys at once, but not every game needs to be that way. And I feel like Kingdom Come Deliverance does a good job here because, you know, I mean, your approach will differ based on what you're fighting. So in this case, you know, fighting a bandit in the woods who's ambushing you like a jackass, it's going to be different than if you're fighting a single opponent who is wearing heavy armor, you know, or if you're fighting archers. I mean, you're going to have to change how you play, and I think that that's a nice way to vary the combat. And granted, you know, it's not perfect. There's a lot of weirdness to it, like, you know, if you're taking out someone who's wounded and surrendering, you don't have an aiming reticle, or like, for instance, this guy who just sat on the ground while I hacked away at him. It's not perfect, but I definitely enjoy it more than other games like Skyrim, where you basically just mash the attack button. And I find it interesting too, because when you're playing the game, when you're in combat, if you take damage, your stamina goes down. Your combat effectiveness, it goes down. And not a lot of games have that implemented, where you know, if you take a hit, you're actually less capable, and you have to wait until after combat to heal. And I feel like even the ranged combat is even though it's more difficult to get a hang of, it's more satisfying, because once you finally get the hang of shooting your bow and arrow, you actually feel like you know what you're doing. You know, I mean, it's not just putting the reticle on the enemy and pulling the trigger. You actually, you have more variance in how well you do, and I felt like it was a good way to implement it. And of course, I mean, this all translates over too. I mean, you have a fast travel system that doesn't, like, it's not like you're pausing the game and waiting for the loading screen to pop you up in the next town. Like, your character is traveling through the world. It's simulated, of course. Like, it's faster than you normally would move, but you're not just popping up in the next place. You know, you could be traveling around and you'll find yourself at the mercy of someone attacking you. So, like, in this case, you know, I'm traveling, I think, to Ratai or one of the towns, and this guy just stops me in the road and tries to attack me. Of course, I shot him in the back a couple times and killed him, but as he was running away. But you get the point. I mean, there's just a bunch of little things that they made different. The mechanics are all different in this game. I mean, they borrow a lot of ideas from others, but like even the lock picking, it's not like the Fallout 4 approach where you just basically you try to turn the bobby pin and find the right angle and then mash the screwdriver into position. I mean, you're moving the lock in what I feel is a little more engaging way. I mean, hell, even sharpening your weapons, you're not just going up to a merchant and telling them, "Hey, fix my stuff." You sit there on the grindstone and you choose the angle and you sharpen your blade. I mean, you can still go to the guy and tell him to, sharpen your stuff for you, but I like sharpening my weapons because I'm kind of cheap, so. So thank you for watching this complimentary video review of Kingdom Come Deliverance. Overdue, I know. I already recorded this once and didn't really work out, so here I am. I will say, as a recommendation, this is something that goes onto the list of games that I do recommend most people play. Not all, but most. Just because there's going to be people who don't like the way that the game plays or something like that, and that's fine. Now, if you're interested in games that are more realistic, not totally, but more realistic, or games that are focused on a historical perspective, or even something just an open world RPG that's a little harder than normal, this is a game to check out. It is worth checking out. Now, if you aren't into those sort of things, I understand. Rent the game, borrow it, whatever you can do. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I mean, I didn't make the game, so I'm not apologizing because I'm somehow at fault. I'm just apologizing that you don't enjoy it. So, there's that. Anyways, I kind of lost my train of thought there. So, thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. And don't forget that I have a blog, falcongamereviews.com. You should go there and check out more stuff there. Thanks.
It went something like this. What? People keep birds like that in their houses? It's like the sound a cat makes when you pull it by the tail.
You know how it is. The gentry's got all manner of odd tastes. The question is, can you remember it?
Can you repeat that?
Of course. Remember it now?